inside your bedroom. We stopped counting the days lost in the rhythm.
It is time once again for a Chattanooga Unzipped show focusing on the real estate and fun things to do around the area. This time Mark Hite is back on the show, and I bet you can't tell where we are. What zip code are we in now?
We're in 37421 today, and we picked one of your favorite public parks.
I used to live in 37421, so I know it well, and no doubt many of you think about the East Brainerd area, meaning Hamilton Place, and for sure you will talk about that. But when you live in the East Brainerd area, this place, Heritage Park, is no doubt going to become a family favorite, so we chose to come here.
Absolutely. My favorite from a dog park, your favorite from where your kids played. It's got something for about everybody.
I'll tell you what, I did love it here, and I think one of the things that this park represents, as you'll point out, are the many different ways you can live in 37421, but it is a true community of its own, and you see festivals held here. You do see kids catching tadpoles in the creek here.
Sure.
They have a good time.
Well, you know, Hamilton Place itself changed the future of East Hamilton County back in the 80s. But it is so much more than just a large enclosed shopping center. I mean, we were laughing earlier, Julie, you like to cook.
I do like to cook.
And 37421 has 7 grocery store brands in it.
That's right, because actually Mark came in and he was talking about them, and then we began to count on our fingers because there are so many you almost get lost.
You do. You have lots of options. So if you're a family that's thinking about the importance of fresh vegetables, fresh meats, access to affordable canned goods, you've got every national brand on the horizon, and it's the only place here in Hamilton County where you have all 7.
You also find a lot of people who live here who were born and raised right here in this area. So while new people will come in, it has its own sense of community here.
It really is a lovely evolution because the first building really started right after World War II in the 40s, and we'll unpack real estate in a few minutes. But the important part is to understand you have everything from vintage homes to brand new townhomes and everything in between because of the density out here.
Right. You mentioned Hamilton Place and how that really kind of changed things. Like all things that are around for decades, they go through ebbs and flows and ups and downs. And so what the mall used to mean for us as Americans is a little bit different from what it means now, but they're still always bringing in new stores.
It really is a cool evolution. I was a part of the original Hamilton Place. I was in the buying office for one of the department stores that were here. I'm a lot older than I may look with this this young looking face, but more importantly, it has changed and evolved as the community needs and demands have changed from less shopping and more experiences, more things to do after work, in the evening, and on the weekends are all available around the Hamilton Place area. And the other thing that you have an abundance of are educational opportunities in 37421.
Let's talk about that a little bit because we focused on 37405 and 37402. Probably, as a general rule, they're attracting either singles or retired people who are looking to downsize. I might be wrong, but this is a real family central area, so you do have all those different ways to educate your kids.
It's a big zip code with a lot of different housing opportunities, and just because the grocery stores, because busy moms and dads need easy access to food to feed the family, the activities and opportunities out here in 37421 are tremendous.
Right. So you brought this whole idea to the table for us because as a realtor, you're seeing on a daily basis people who are either here in town who find a house and they think, oh, I never imagined living in this part of town, or they're new to our area and they're looking to figure out the right zip code for their family. So you really wanted to break it down.
We really do. When you think of living in Chattanooga, and that's my YouTube channel, is Live in Chattanooga, and that's where Unzipped will live for quite some time, frankly. It'll be updated with the real estate. But more importantly, if someone's thinking about relocating to Hamilton County, Chattanooga, Tennessee, well, they know they're going to lose their state income tax in most cases, and we have very reasonable property taxes. But what else is out here? Why would I choose to live in 37421? And that's what we're here to talk about today.
So what we're going to do as we go to our first commercial break is go ahead and warn you that we are going to hit the hub of 37421 because we're going to head out Gun Barrel Roadway. Actually, they're going to come to us. The Spice and Tea Exchange, a frequent guest of ours on 3+U, she chose this zip code to have her business. Find out why you're going to want to travel out here and perhaps call this area home. Thank you, Mark.
Here we go.
That we have gotten you excited about shopping in the 37421 zip code. Let's get you eager to live in the 37421 zip code. So Mark is back in the studio with us now with some examples of housing.
Absolutely. It is, as we've discussed, it's a popular and diverse zip code, both for young families and for downsizers, folks who have lived their time, raised their kids. And so we've actually got some examples of housing today, the diversity of housing in 37421.
Well, and I think that's a really great choice you've made in looking at the different stages of your life, because if you are the family raising your kids and then you don't need the big house anymore, you still have friends nearby, you have your way of life in that area, you don't want to leave it necessarily.
Very often your friends, your church, your physicians, you know, if you've gotten used to living in a neighborhood, you think about, you know, going down Gun Barrel, you have Erlanger East, you have all those physicians' offices. It's kind of a lifestyle.
Right.
And just because perhaps you've aged and the kids are gone, you don't need a pediatrician anymore, but you might need another specialist.
A geriatrician, right?
That's exactly.
So I can't remember if we said this on camera when we first opened the show or if this is something that you told me off camera when we had talked, but the truth is Gun Barrel Road, before the mall came in, was a heavy residential area.
Absolutely.
It's kind of coming back in a way, right?
It is. If you look at where Hamilton Place sits today, back in the 80s, there were homes sitting there. It was a residential neighborhood. Many of those homes were moved. They weren't just, you know, torn down. But what we've seen now, because of higher density, you know, the desire to be in the area, the desire to stay in the zip code, but you're seeing more zero lot line, more townhome environments particularly. So we get more density so that folks, particularly as we're aging on the other side of life, there are housing options for them.
Well, this first one that you have really surprised me when I saw the price tag on this thing.
Yeah, this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home on Cannondale Loop, just off of Gun Barrel. It was perfectly designed for a downsizer. It has a nice screen porch, so it has outdoor living space, has an open floor plan, so you still have room for friends and family with your dining, living, all in one open space, so it maximizes the square footage, and it was listed at only $249,000. Now, Julie, this is unusual in 37421, but we wanted to show an example of the downsizing opportunity that exists.
And that if that does exist, you've got to jump on it. I mean, if you're looking to make a move, you almost like planning a wedding, you have to prep a long time in advance.
Right, and so when the property comes available, you're prepared to pay, and in this case, this home sold for cash and literally had multiple offers because it was somebody looking to do just that, downsize.
Okay, so that's that one. Now if you go kind of middle ground, where do you find us?
Well, here we find the next home is a perfect family home. It's at $485,000. It's in the same area, frankly, very close to the Hamilton Place Mall. Convenient, big yard like we saw back in the 60s, but has been nicely updated, got a new kitchen. It was 3,000 square feet and listed at $485,000. Now, keeping in mind the median price in Hamilton County is running right at $300,000, so we're 1.5 times the median price. But you're getting good schools, you're getting great convenience, and you're getting a lot of square footage with 3,000 square feet.
Yeah, and by the look of the pictures you were able to share this morning, those rooms look nice and big.
Yes.
Sometimes you go back to that Brady Bunch era of living, and it makes sense for a family.
It absolutely. This is a perfect home for a family because A, you have all the conveniences, but you've got a larger yard for the kids to play, be the point where your neighbor kids hang out, if you will. It's a great, for someone, you know, your age, our age, that's got school-age kids, it's a great home.
And it's a home you could, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. I can't believe where we are with our dollars these days, but it's not that far off in price. So that if you are, if you have young kids, you can stay and grow into it.
Grow into the home. It's a good example. It's not going to be as large as the third home that we look at, more of an estate home in East Brainerd, but it's a great middle-of-the-road place to live a large chunk of your life in.
Okay, I think I know where you're taking us next. Where are we going?
We're going to the infamous Mountain Shadows, one of the most successful residential developments in Hamilton County over the last 30, 40 years. This home is a downsizer home, in fact. It's not the most expensive home in Mountain Shadows at $725,000, but it was a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home, 5,000 square feet.
Right.
Truly an estate style home. that was designed for even multi-generational living.
So that speaks, that's a great point, the multi-generational blended families. Sometimes all of a sudden you need a lot more space.
Yes.
But it also speaks to you have that big house for a while, and then you can try to find the smaller downsizer still in that zip code.
This home was perfect with a lower level basement, an in-law suite, if you will. So it was designed with the thought of having, multi-generational living. At the same time, the family that sold this house went into a downsize mode. So we today in 37421, we see the entire cycle of life
Right.
As it represents in housing.
And you do see, I think it's interesting that in the three you chose this morning, they're all, well, that's not true. The Cannondale one was a newer build, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can kind of catch your choice if you want new or old.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is a look at housing at 37421. If this is speaking to you and you want a chance to talk with Mark or somebody on his team about finding a place for your family to live, call them. Their office number is 265-0088. Online, it's markhitehomes.com. Always follow him on Facebook because he's throwing out new ideas, things that are about to hit the market. That's his way of getting to you first. And when we come back, we'll head just north into the 37363 zip code and focus on that. Chattanooga Unzipped continues.